Hey Tarot Tribe, it's Dustin from Modern Metaphysicae, and today I thought we could hang out and take a trip through the Star Tarot 2nd edition. I am so excited about this deck and to share it with you guys. As always, you'll find in the description box below a link to where you can pick up this deck for yourself and learn more about it. So be sure to check that out at the end of the video. Down there, you'll also find all of my social media links and a link to my personal website where you can pick up some of my handmade metaphysical goods and book a reading with me. So yeah, let's dive into this. The Star Tarot 2nd edition has been a deck that I've been eagerly awaiting. I saw the Star Tarot for the first time a number of years ago, but the deck, the first edition of this deck never really appealed to me considerably because I felt like the printing quality on it was just so poor. It had these huge purple borders and it was on that like very laminated bendy cardstock, and so for me it just really it didn't appeal to me all that much. And then about a year and a half ago I revisited it and I really started to fall in love with the symbolism and the deep meaning and just the sheer amount of esoteric imagery that was in the cards themselves. And I heavily considered purchasing the 1st edition and trimming it, and then I heard that they were going to be doing a 2nd edition, so I held off, and I'm so glad that I did. So the 2nd edition comes in this really beautiful box, and it's by Red Feather, which they have just done such an exceptional job of really stepping up the game on their decks and all of their, their production quality. They're blowing Llewellyn out of the water in my opinion right now, and I would much rather spend my deck fund money on a Red Feather deck right now than a Llewellyn deck, just because of how nice of a job that they're doing. So this comes in a similar box to the Llewellyn box. It does have a magnetic closure, and we have a little blurb about the deck on the back, as well as just some beautiful art. And there's a nice little quote here on the bottom: "Stars are full of miracles and magic. Bring the beauty of them into your life and into your heart," which I really love. So it's a really lovely box. Now, of course, like the Llewellyn boxes, this isn't something that's going to be great for keeping your deck in because it's just one of these little paper trays, which are not my favorite things in the world. So that is a little disappointing. It does normally come with a book, which is on the inside here. And the book is amazing. So the book is, first of all, it's a very chunky book. It's incredibly chunky. It is, let's see, it's 270 pages. It has a bibliography. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is not a guidebook. This is a book. And I think it's just, it's so well done. There are pages for each of the cards. As you can see, it is in color. It's not that magazine-y paper, which I actually prefer, because this is good for if I want to take a note or highlight something. I really much prefer this than to the kind of really glossy paper that Llewellyn uses, which is like a magazine. So this is just perfect for me. Each of the cards, as you probably saw, has some keywords. It has a whole section on correspondences, and then the thing that I really love about this book is that it breaks down all of the symbolism within the card, right? So the 2 ravens, the moon, the sword of destiny, the north wind, right? Even the colors, right? All of that stuff is broken down in each of the pages here, which I just think this is what a guidebook should be. Tarot creators of the world, this is what your guidebook should be. This is perfect for me, and I'm just elated by it, and I'm going to read it from cover to cover. Each of the majors, again, the same stuff. We have the symbolism in the card, and it breaks it all down, which is just amazing. So I'm in love with this book. There is some basic information in here as well. It's awesome. There's even information in here about like calculating your birth card and just, I mean, all kinds of numerological things, and it's an awesome book. So check the book out for sure. So the cards themselves. Now the cards themselves are beautiful. They have this very sort of this really sort of graphic starry night with this snow-covered mountains design on the back. It is reversible. So if you are looking for something that's reversible, this is probably a good thing for you. Now, it's not entirely reversible because, as you can probably see, they didn't do a good job of mirroring the stars. So, you know, if you're looking closely, you can see, oh, there's a big star on the, you know, the left instead of the right. To me, I don't read reversals personally, so it doesn't make that big of a difference, but I know it does for some of you, and that's okay. It is gilded, which is really lovely. It's that really nice gilding that doesn't come off on your fingers, which I really appreciate. And the cards are actually a pretty decent size. So this is a standard tarot size card. And as you can see, they are slightly wider and a decent amount taller. So again, just for reference, they are a nice size. Now the cardstock is the thing that I love the most about this. They use some really, really good cardstock. It's nice. It feels nice and thick, but it's still a little flexible. It's matte, which is really nice. As you can see, it's not super shiny. I think that this cardstock is perfect. Keep printing on this cardstock. It's fantastic. So that is the deck itself. So let's do our walkthrough, and then as always, we will come back and we'll take a look at specific cards and things about them that really stand out to me and that I love. So yeah, this is the Star Tarot 2nd edition. So that is the Star Tarot 2nd edition by Cathy McClelland, and I have been loving this deck so much. It's so beautiful. The artwork is just spectacularly amazing. I am obsessed with it. As you can see, mine's already starting to get a little aged and things like that. So I definitely think this is going to be one of those decks that ages pretty heavily the more you use it. But that's okay. Gives it character, right? The cards are so full of symbolism and esoteric meaning that I think this is a really great deck if you're wanting to explore that side of the tarot and kind of really learn some of that stuff. I would highly recommend this deck because the book does such a really good job of explaining and even sourcing information about the symbolism in the deck. As you've probably noticed, it does follow a pretty good RWS system, and a lot of the cards, however, are very heavily influenced by the Thoth, right? So here we have our Fool card. Oh, we've got a little out of focus. There we go. Here we have our Fool card. And as you can see, there's a lot of carryover. You have the prism in both of our Fool's hands here. You have the crescent moon kind of making the same shape as the horns, the alligator at their feet, even just the general sort of like composition of the cards are very similar. And you see that through quite a number of these cards, right? The Ace of Swords is another really great example of that. So let me grab that. Here's our Ace of Swords and our Ace of Swords from the Thoth. So although the deck is very primarily based on the RWS system and that ordering, the artwork and the symbolism and things like that, you can tell have a very heavy Thoth, Lady Frida Harris influence on them, which I really love. To be perfectly honest with you, in my opinion, this is the perfect marriage of Thoth and RWS for me, and it's something that I honestly didn't think was going to be that possible to achieve as a reader. I use both of the decks and I love both of them for different reasons, but this does such a good job of marrying the two systems together that I didn't think was possible. Here we have the Eight of Wands, and again you can see sort of the influence that has been taken right from the artwork, and they're both they're beautiful, they're exceptional, they're unique, and she really builds upon what Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley did in the Thoth Tarot. Now that being said, it is not a Thoth-based system in its entirety. It's a very beautiful deck. The meanings in the guidebook tend to lean more towards the RWS meanings, so if you're familiar with that, that'll be easy for you to pick up. But it's really great. It's very inclusive. There's lots of different races. There's Native Americans represented, which, as someone who has Native American heritage, I really appreciate. There's men and women represented equally, I feel like, in this deck. It's a really good deck, and being a deck that was from the 90s, seeing this level of diversity, I think is fantastic. I really love too how in the courts, for example, we have princesses for the Pentacles pages. If I can find, let's see, that's the Pentacles, right? Princess. And then we have princes for the wands and the swords. So I really like that, right? So here's our two princes and our two princesses. I thought that was a really cool way to kind of interpret these things, right? Usually when it comes to gendering these cards, creators typically just pick one for the pages. You often see the princess being the page, and then the knight being a knight or a prince, and then the queen and the king, where here we have a little bit of a mix, which I thought was really cool and I really appreciated. And the artwork, again, it's so beautiful, it's so detailed, and there's so much packed into these cards that it's amazing. So I really have been loving working with this deck. It gives me just fantastic readings. They're very clear. Anytime I've had to look at the book, I've had very little questions after reading, what was written in the book, and it's really helped me to brush up on some of my symbolism, and things like that have really helped enhance the way I read with this deck, which I really appreciate. Again, all of the aces, you can really see the heavy influence of the Thoth Tarot, and the artwork there in those, which I really love. I love the Seven of Swords. It's one of my favorite in this deck. The art is just, that stag is just beautiful, and the reflection and how one of the swords is breaking the water and almost kind of piercing the reflection and things like that. There's so much. The Six of Swords here, it's just they're so beautiful. I really love this deck. Love the moon phases on the moon card. It's just the death, the inclusion of the phoenix. There's just so much in these cards. I could go on for hours about all of the symbols that the creator chose to include in these cards, and every time I use it, I discover more, which I really appreciate. So if you're thinking about getting this, I highly recommend it. I just think it's so beautiful. And they've done such an exceptional job in printing this. The print quality, the cardstock, everything is just so freaking good. And I know that this deck is going to be a deck that becomes one of those workhorses in my collection that I reach for time and time again when reading. And in fact, I've already thought about purchasing an extra copy of this deck, just to have for professional readings when I'm back out in the public reading, as things start to reopen and things like that. So definitely check this one out, guys, if you haven't. As always, again, all of the information about this deck and where you can pick it up is down in the description box below, so be sure to check that out. As always, I really super appreciate all of you guys coming to hang out with me and check out this tarot deck. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. And as always, remember, everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. So be kind, always. Bye, everybody.